Hi friends, in this video I will show you everything you need to know about the M+Global app. What are the features available, how to use them, how to buy and sell US stocks, how to deposit money, etc. so that you can get up to speed with investing in the US stock market quickly, especially if you're totally new to the investing world. This video is done in collaboration with M+Global, but rest assured they have zero input in this video, as I will always like to keep it real and simple for you. And thanks to them, you can use my affiliate link down below to get a guaranteed $20 trading voucher when you deposit at least 1,000 ringgit into your account. Okay, let's get started. The first thing you will be greeted upon when you first log into your already verified and approved account is the watch list tab that has all these red and green graphs and numbers and whatnot. Don't panic, it's actually much more simpler than you think. This watch list tab is essentially like a dashboard for you to track and monitor the stocks or ETFs that are currently in the stock market. You can think of it like your shopping groceries list. These are individual items and their market price is shown to you in real time thanks to the data provided by Nasdaq. They are not your stocks yet since you haven't bought it, right? It is just to show you whatever you are tracking in this page. For instance, you can see that I have NVDA, which is the ticker symbol or short form for Nvidia Corporation, which is the company that designs graphic cards. Or the second one, we have MSFT, which is the ticker symbol for Microsoft Corporation. And I'm sure you would know what Microsoft does, right? Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you should know them, kan? Anyways, the price here means how much one share of each of these US stocks are worth. For example, MSFT or Microsoft is worth $333.68, which means you will need to pay $333.68 to buy one share of Microsoft, which is about 1,500 ringgit if you convert it to ringgit terms. Pretty straightforward, right? And the percent change on the right hand side is basically telling you the change in the stock price for the particular trading day. Green means it's up from the opening price of the day, and vice versa. Red means it is down from its opening price of the day. Don't worry if this sounds complicated to you, it's just for your information anyway. So you can scroll all the way down and you will see this add to watch list button, which allows you to add any US or Hong Kong stocks that you like into this page for you to track. For example, we want to track our favorite EV company, Tesla. Type in TSLA and then tap the heart button, and there you have it. You should see Tesla with the TSLA ticker symbol now in your watch list. And you can also click onto the three dot buttons at the top right hand corner to create multiple watch lists. You could be tracking US stocks, US ETFs or Hong Kong stocks, right? It's up for you to customize. So now that you know how to move around and customize your own watch list, let's try clicking into the individual stock to reveal more information about the stock itself. This is where you will get all the information you need to understand about the company's share price, financials, Sharia compliance, technical indicators, etc., which will all be part of your investment decision. And at the top right hand corner, you can see that there's a few icons there. Tap into it and it will reveal additional info about this stock. And the first one would be the ticker symbol of Tesla, and it is listed on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange. And currently it is marginable, which means you can actually take a margin loan from M+Global to trade more than what you have in your account right now. For example, if you have 3,000 ringgit, a 30% margin ratio means you can actually trade Tesla on a margin for up to 10,000 ringgit, which includes your initial 3,000 ringgit. So if you happen to run short of cash in a short notice and need to get the trade done, you can definitely use margin if you know what you are doing, because remember, margin involves leverage and financing fee as well. So it is definitely not something a beginner should dabble with early on in their investing journey. And next, you will see that Tesla is also Sharia compliant stocks, and this rating is actually provided by a company called Ideal Ratings, which is a leading provider of Sharia compliance ratings internationally. So gone are the days where you ask, is this stock halal? Well, you have the answer for you right here. And lastly, if you saw this delayed 15 minutes, you can actually just ignore this, because if you open your account with my link, you can actually get free 30 days of live share price data by Nasdaq. And after that, if you ever need it, you can always subscribe at $3 a month. If you ask me, I don't really need the live share price data myself, because you can just easily get it from online sources like Yahoo Finance or Google Finance. not a big deal. Okay, coming back to this, the largest number on the top left hand corner is the current share price of Tesla, like what I've mentioned earlier, and this number basically means how many dollars it is up or down for the day or the prior trading day if you are looking at this before the US stock market opens. And the percent change just means how much Tesla share price has changed for the day in percentage terms. Now if you click this arrow button, you can actually expand this list and see a bunch of financial information on this particular stock. I won't go through all of them because they are pretty much self-explanatory if you give them a quick Google search, but the main ones that people usually look at are 1. Market cap, which tells you how big or how small a company is. In this case, Tesla is worth about more than $700 billion as of the recording of this video. And PE ratio, this is the share price divided by earnings per share. Basically, the higher the PE ratio goes, the more premium you are actually paying to own this stock. And usually, mature tech companies like Apple and Google usually hover around the 20 to 30 PE ratio. So the fact that Tesla is now more than 55 PE just tells you they are actually very rich in terms of valuation. Could be a good or bad thing depending on how you look at it, because sometimes it could mean overvalued, and sometimes it could also mean the stock has a lot of growth potential, which is why a lot of investors is willing to pay the premium to own this stock. And lastly, lot size. In the US market, the lot size is always 1, which means each trade you only need to buy at least 1 share of the company, which is very different compared to the minimum 100 units in Bursa Malaysia, right? Of course, 1 full share of Tesla is still worth close to 1,000 ringgit, but the good news is M+Global will be releasing fractional shares trading in the very near future, which means you can even buy less than 1 share. I'll update you guys when it's there. Anyways, scrolling down, you have quotes, news, and also profile. Quotes is basically where you see the technical chart of the stock. Looks fancy and complicated, right? Well, usually only technical traders or short-term traders will rely on this chart for their trades. And if you are new to the stock market and just want to invest for the long term, you can actually just ignore this chart. It is just a good thing to have, not a must-have. And down there you can see the fund distribution, which means how much are people buying and selling this stock. And it is just one of many indicators telling you that the big boys are buying or selling this stock. Or is it just ikan bilis in the market buying and selling this stock? Well, this is the chart that gives you the entire picture. As you can see, the medium and small sizes are longer at this moment. So that means there are actually quite an amount of ikan bilis trading Tesla stock right now. You know, ikan bilis stuff. Anyways, bad joke. Going downwards, you have capital flow, which basically tells you how much money have entered or left the company. Or in other words, are people buying or selling this stock for the past 5, 10, 20 or more days? Well, this is where you see it, and clearly Tesla has been on an uptrend since the net buyers are more compared to the sellers. And then if you scroll down there, you have analyst ratings and price targets, which is another thing that you may or may not take it to help with your investment decision. In my opinion, it's just something good to have, because I strongly believe that we should not rely on someone else's opinion to form our investment decision. So I rarely care about this information. And the news tab, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. M+Global actually gives you a list of live updated news from famous sites like Benzinga News, MT News Wires and more, which is a good way for you to stay updated to the company for free. That's always nice, right? And lastly, the profile tab, also another huge tab by itself. Here you can look at the financial information of the company, and this is where I would say that it is crucial for long-term investors to pay more attention towards, because these are actually the bread and butter data for any businesses, so it's important to know them well. I won't go into each and one of them today because I've actually covered them before in a separate video, so feel free to check them out over on my channel when you have the time to explore and learn more about this. And lastly, there is this ETF button where you can click into it to look at any ETF that holds Tesla stock as part of their portfolio or fund. So if you are curious about which ETF does that, this is definitely a tab that you can check out as well. And hey, if you don't really like the risk of holding an individual stock like Tesla, then maybe ETF could be the safer play for you. It's never too wrong to be conservative. Anyways, if you go and head to the markets tab, this is where you can get an overview of the entire US and Hong Kong stock market. I'll just focus on the US one. You will see these 3 big stock market indexes: Dow Jones, Nasdaq and also S&P 500. They are the 3 largest stock market index for the US, where Dow Jones track the top 30 companies in the US like Intel, Caterpillar, Goldman Sachs, Walt Disney, etc. Usually they are those less growth and more of those value stocks. So if you ever heard of oh, the Dow is up how many points, or the DJI is down today, then this is actually what they are referring to. And the second index is the Nasdaq Composite Index that tracks more than 2,500 US stocks. Usually they have higher weightage on the tech stocks like Apple, Google, Microsoft, etc. So when people say the Nasdaq is up or the Nasdaq is down, then you know that they are actually referring to the tech sector in the US. And the last one here is probably something you have heard before, the S&P 500 Index, which is something that I've mentioned countless times on my channel here. And this is the most popular index out there, where it tracks 500 of the largest US companies. And because the US economy have been growing non-stop for the last several decades, the S&P 500, which can be invested through an ETF like the VOO ticker symbol, is one of the most popular ETF investment choice for many investors. Anyways, market overview, just a fancy little bar that tells you whether the market is up or down. And now we have the three buttons: warrants, Sharia, and also margin. Warrants are basically leverage products which beginners can totally ignore for now, and margin is exactly what I've mentioned to you. So whatever is in this margin tab means they are the stocks you can borrow margin loan to trade if you want to. And the Sharia button is where you can look for a list of Sharia compliant stocks like what I've mentioned earlier as well. Personally, I think this tab could have been better by having the ability to sort alphabetically and whatnot, but it's okay. At least you can look at the moon icon from each stock to know whether the stocks are Sharia compliant or not. Sectors is just a page telling you which sector is up and down for the day. It's alright to me. It would be great if there's some pictures or graphs or something, and I think that would make the entire user experience more immersive, right? And at the very bottom of this tab, we have the top traded and most active stocks. Also just another tab that mostly traders will only benefit from, since they are always looking to profit from volatility. Not something I would dabble with as an investor. Okay, now before I show you how to buy US stocks and whatnot, you will first need to know that what is shown in this trade tab, because I know this can get quite confusing for many starters. This page is where you can get a glance of whatever cash amount and stocks or ETFs that you have in your account. Basically, whatever you own, it will all be shown here. For example, I've previously deposited 5,000 ringgit cash using this button, which will lead me to online FPX, and I think you guys should be pretty familiar with it. It's standard online FPX stuff, and everything was done in less than 2 minutes, so I guess there's no need for me to describe that any further. But do know that M+Global now only accepts deposit and withdrawal in ringgit Malaysia only, and even if you choose to withdraw from other currencies like US dollar or Hong Kong dollar, it will all be converted to ringgit for you at their determined FX rate. And speaking of FX, when you deposit any amount of ringgit cash into your M+Global account, it will still remain as ringgit cash, but you will be able to see its equivalent in US dollar cash based on the FX rate provided. And do note that this amount is not converted, and it's just to show you what's the US dollar or Hong Kong dollar equivalent cash you have in your account. And before you ask me, the FX rate changes from time to time. On some days I get spot rate FX, some days I got 0.2% spread or 0.5%, so it's definitely changing and not a flat conversion spread. My best advice would be to check it before you withdraw your money in order to maximize your ringgit withdrawal from your account. So grandmother story aside, you can see that I now own Apple stock in my stock portfolio, and MV here stands for market value, which means how much the total stock is worth at this current point in time. And if you notice, QTY is 2, that means I have a quantity of 2 shares of Apple. So if each one is worth $177.82, 2 shares of it will be 177.82 times 2, which is equal to 355.64. And if I choose to liquidate and sell off my Apple shares right now, I will then get 355.64, which is the market value, minus another $3 brokerage fee for each trade, and the remaining 352.64 will be the US dollar cash that I am getting back in return. And same goes to when you buy any stock. If you want to buy one Apple share at say $175, do know that you will need to pay $175 plus $3 fee for each trade, which is $178, and that $178 will be your average cost for the Apple position. Okay, so if you see position P&L here, this means what is the total profit and loss in my account considering brokerage fee and the ups and downs of my stocks as well. But do note that the P&Ls are inclusive of the paper profits and losses, so as long as I don't sell my stocks, I will still have a chance for it to rise above my average cost price and later on end up in the greens or in profits. So don't worry if you ever see any reds. Good companies will always outgrow the bad times over the long run. And last year refers to the last trading price of the stock, basically its latest share price per unit. Very simple stuff. Anyways, if you see here, you have max BP, that means your maximum buying power, which is actually a sum of the cash you have in US dollar plus the margin loan you can take. Not something you really need to care about, but if you ask me, I would usually recommend beginners to trade anywhere below the available cash amount. That means you will never need margin unless you really need to, and that is more than good enough for starters. Risk status, this is just another indicator telling you how safe or how risky is your account, which is usually based on the type of stocks you invest, how much margin you have, etc, etc. Basically your risk profile, and a better risk profile would mean you can take on more margin loan. And if you are for some reason already trading on margin, this will also be a feature for you to check your current account situation, whether if it is very risky and also close to liquidation, and if it is, the app will remind you through notifications, or the customer support will call or send you SMS to reduce your positions or even for margin calls. And trade, this button is where you can start buying or selling stock. We'll come back to this one in the next section. Inter-transfer, this button allows you to transfer ringgit cash between your M+online and M+Global account. So let's say if you have a M+online Bursa CDS account, this is a button you can go for. But if you are totally new to M+Global, you can ignore this feature. Details, this shows you all the activities in your account, from what you buy and sell, what are the fees you paid, what's the interest income you receive in your account. It will all be recorded here for your reference. Very convenient. And more, this will bring you to this page where you have more features like stock record, which shows you the rights issues or dividends received for each stock. Account statements, this is where you can download your statement for your own record, or in case LHDN wants to audit you, this is where you get it. And down there you have a few more buttons which are a little bit more advanced, but it's totally fine to ignore it for a starter. Okay, now let me show you how to buy US stocks. It's really as simple as ABC. You can tap into this trade button or use the buy button under the stock that I've shown you earlier. So at this page, it's literally like placing an order for the food you want to eat, except this is buying a stock lah. For the name and symbol bar, you can write down the name of the company you want to invest in. For the purpose of this demo, I'll be buying Apple share or Apple stock just to show you the process. Order type, there is limit and also market order. Limit order means you want to buy the stock at the set price that you want. For example, in this case, Apple is trading at $179.29 per share. So as a buyer, I will always want to buy it cheaper or lower than the market price, right? So in this case, I can use limit order to buy this stock at say $179.15 US at the price column here. However, if you go for the market order, it means you want to buy this Apple stock right here, right now, at the market price, which could be 179.29 or plus minus a little bit. People that use market order usually just want to get a job done and complete the buy order and move on with their day. So this is definitely a feature that you can use to set it once and also get it done. But if you are like me and you hate decimals and you want to control your entry price to the exact decimals, control freak, then limit order is definitely the choice you can go for too. There is no right or wrong here. Either order type works and it caters for slightly different reasons. Quantity, this just means how many shares you want to buy. One quantity means you are buying one full share. Unlike Bursa Malaysia, where one quantity usually means one bought lot or 100 shares, so don't get confused by that. And in this case, I will be buying 2 shares of Apple just to show you, and that means I will need to pay 2 shares of 179.15, and that will be $358.3 before the $3 fees and a little bit more regulatory fees. I'll show you the entire breakdown in just a minute. And notice there is this max buying power of 22 shares and buy cash is 6 shares. The max means I can take a lot more margin to buy Apple shares, and apparently I can afford to buy up to 22 shares of Apple stock. But if just purely based on cash, I can only buy up to 6 full shares, which is right about the 5,000 ringgit amount I have in my account, since each Apple stock is about 800 ringgit as of the recording of this video. And like I've mentioned earlier, for beginners, just stick to this number by cash. Try not to exceed the number if possible to avoid taking out margin loan. Fill outside RTH. This just basically asking you whether you want to allow this trade to match outside of the regular trading hour or not. Or in other words, pre-market and also post-market hours. And in case you don't know about it, the US stock market, just like the Bursa Malaysia market, trades during business hours only. And that is 9:30 AM to 4 PM US time. but in Malaysia's context, that is usually 9:30 PM at night until 4 AM in the next morning. But because the US market is so advanced, they actually have additional 5+ hours of pre-market hours trading and also 4 hours of after hours trading. So yes, you can still trade your stocks during those off-market hours, but do keep in mind that the liquidity during that period is usually much lower. So you could be buying at a slight premium price or selling at a slight loss. Not really a big issue if you are only trading highly liquid stocks like these US big tech companies. So it's really up to you whether or not you want to enable or turn this off. I will usually just leave this to allowed by default. Okay, so once everything is set and ready, just click the buy button and this confirmation box will pop up. You can tick the box below and then click confirm to submit your trade, and there you go. You can see that my order for these 2 shares of Apple is currently in the status of submitted, which means it will match if another person chooses to sell their Apple stock at this price. And usually for liquid stock like Apple, it matches pretty quickly during market hours if you didn't set the buy price too far from the current market price. And for this case, I think it only took a few minutes before I got the 2 Apple shares in my account. And just in case you ask, I actually paid $3 of brokerage fees for this trade, plus 67 US cents for the regulatory fee, which is the standard across all other stockbroker. So total fee for this trade is $3.67, and I really like M+Global laying this out so transparently so that we know what we are paying for. And separately, selling your stock, it's pretty simple and straightforward as well. You can just do the exact same thing of what I've just shown you just now, but with the red sell button instead. Same way to set the market orders and price and quantity, it's really easy. Okay, I think I've covered quite a lot today, and if you are still staying up until this point, or if you found this tutorial helpful, a quick tap of the like and subscribe button will be very helpful to me. Each of your likes means I'm another way away from being homeless. Thank you very much for that. And I won't drag you too long for the remaining part of this video because I think they are all pretty self-explanatory. Top news is where you can read and also explore whatever's happening in the stock market and economy as well. And watchlist news is basically the sorted news for the stocks that are in your watchlist. So definitely a good way for you to track and monitor the stock without searching for them individually. And there is just one last thing I wanted to show you, which is their customer service button. You can reach out to them for inquiries to get help via WhatsApp live chat, email, or directly call them. And from what I know, their support is active 24 hours from Mondays to Fridays. So do give it a try and just test it out even if you don't have any important needs right now. I think it's never wrong to give them a nudge to get a feel for it yourself. Alright, that's all I have for you right now. You have pretty much learned every single thing that you ever need to know to get started with investing in the US stock market through this M+Global app. Do comment down below if you have any questions or if you found this video helpful. Let M+Global know that I've did a good job with this video so that, you know, I can be one day away from being homeless. Thank you so much for watching, and as usual, I will see you in the next one. What if I didn't click record?